Good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight as we join along a new journey again here tonight. We're going to be talking with director Ron Furman. And if you've not heard of Ron Furman, he's done many great things, and we'll tell you how you can find out about him. But tonight, this is a special conversation as his new movie, Living in Darkness, which he began production on October the 10th, which, if you don't know, was Mental Health Day here in Canada. So kind of a significant day to be starting. And we're going to talk about not just the movie, but trying to erase the stigma of mental health in our societies. And I think Ron's going to talk about some of his relationships he's made through this, and probably some treatments and other things that you may or may not know about. So we've got a full hour here with Ron, and we're going to try to bring him on here right now. He's in the lobby studio. And hi, Ron. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you've got really quite an interesting project underway.
Yes, very interesting, very demanding, but hopefully it's going to be worthwhile.
Well, let's talk about you first, and maybe get people to know you and your background, and then we'll take them through this process that you're doing with Living in Darkness.
Well, I've been a filmmaker now for about 18 years or so. I started as an actor, then I sort of went into filmmaking. Most of the things that I've been doing have been relating to Israel, the Middle East, things that I cared about. And I never thought I'd be making a movie on mental health, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm a man that lives in terms of passion. Everything that I do, I have to believe in it. I can't just make a film that's my own, that's based on nothing, unless it's a comedy or something just fun. But the documentaries that I do have to have something with a message. And
right.
I've been living with anxiety and depression now for about 30 years. I've been in the dark about it. People used to think that maybe that's just my character, but there were a lot of things that people don't know. What happens when the door is closed? What happens when I'm by myself? What happens when And what ended up happening was, since my wife left, I started to realize a lot of things about myself. And when I was going through my problems, I was looking for help, and I realized that nobody was there to really help me. I had to go on Dr. Google to be able to get information, and that's the only way that I was able to heal myself. Of course, with the support of my family and my friends and my community. But when it came to really getting help, there wasn't much available. And the more I asked about it, the more I got answers that didn't seem right to me. Go see a hypnotist. Go see, a mentalist. Go do yoga. Go meditate. And these are not regular things that I would like to do. Working out, I understand. Eating right, I understand. Going to your doctor, I understand. Getting medication, I understand. Therapist, I understand. But everything else seemed a little bit off. But hearing the stories from people who were going through things that are similar as mine, I realized that they were able to get something out of it. So while I was going through my transition, speaking out about mental health, I realized that I needed to do something about it. And as a documentarian, I wanted to really film my struggles, film everything that I was going through. But the problem that I was facing, I was so much in a low point in my life that I wasn't able to bring a crew together, raise the money. And, there's a lot that goes into making a movie. It's not just like, let's go out, get a camera and shoot.
Right.
And I needed to feel a little bit better to be able to be in the right mindset to at least convince people that this was a great story to do. And it took me about 3 months to put the things together. I got a lot of amazing people to interview, a lot of amazing people who were helping with the film because they felt so connected to it. And I learned a lot just in the process of the pre-production. And now we're about a week into the movie, and boy, am I learning a lot. Boy, am I getting a lot of information. And I'm hoping that we can, through this film, educate the world about mental health and, eliminate the stigma behind mental health. The same way that we see physical health, we got to talk about mental health.
Right.
And again, I don't have mental illness. I have mental health, and people also need to understand that there's a difference between it. The more they educate themselves, This is the point. So I want people to understand that when you use the word mental, it has a bad connotation connected to it, and I want to be able to express it that each and every one of us goes through something in our lives, and some of us are just able to hide it better. And I was no longer able to sit back and feel sorry for myself. And I figured with this film, I'm going to go out and learn and teach others.
Right. Very good. Well, that's a big project to take on. And I'll just thank you for sharing all that, story and that personal side of yourself. And that takes courage. We're hearing a lot more talk of mental health more and more and more, which is a great thing. We just had Michael Landsberg from TSN was here in our town last week talking about it, and it seems to be catching on. But somebody said to me the other day when I told him what I was talking about tonight, I said, "Are we just talking about it? I mean, I know you're doing something there, but is there too much talk and not enough action?" And I mean, you sort of touched on it a little bit, but why go and tell your story to the world? How is that going to help eliminate the stigma in our societies?
So it's not about my story. The story is just another element of the film. I mean, it's just my journey, right? If we were to look at the Super Size Me movie, was it about the story of the person eating the hamburgers?
Right.
Or that you see the movie, you're saying, yeah, if I'm going to eat Big Macs every day, 3 times a day, of course I'm going to get fat, right? Yeah. But there are people who are actually doing it. There are people who actually believe this is okay. Why? Because of their financial situation, where they're at, what they're promised, how they trick people into, giving you a toy when you're eating something, the clown behind McDonald's. And it's not just McDonald's. McDonald's is just the big brother, right? There's so many other fast food chains that are doing the exact same thing. It was just McDonald's was the easy target. The journey is just one part. It's really about learn. Okay, for example, today I met with a pharmacist who happened to work for Big Pharma in the past. So I wanted to ask him questions about, that other people want to ask. Is the drug companies, are they doing it just to make money off of it? And he's saying, listen, they're spending $400 million on average to be able just to get their drugs out. Of course they want their money back. Of course they're in it for the business. But at the same time, they're creating, pills to actually help people. And it's up to the consumer and the doctor and the pharmacist to have that conversation, whether that particular drug can help somebody. So I'm not, for example, anti-medication. I'm not anti-drugs. But I'd like to know that there's more information out there when it comes to this medication, and people know that they have other avenues. For example, someone like myself, when I get a headache, I don't go and reaching out for the Tylenol or the Advil. I try to maybe hydrate myself with water, maybe have tea, and then or turn off the light, do something to make myself feel better on my own. And if that doesn't work, then I can go towards the medication. Right. The problem is, there are people don't know what are their options. They don't know that if they meditate, they feel this way, or if they try yoga, they do it this way. Because most of these people that are out there, what they do is they want a quick fix. Like myself, I got to be honest. When I was going through whatever I was going through, I wanted that quick fix. I hated how I was feeling. I was feeling horrible for about half a year. People had no idea. I had to take myself off of Facebook. I'm a type of person that likes to talk about politics and the world and help out. And I had to zone. I had to literally take myself out of that world to heal myself. And it took time. And the same thing, if you work out, you're not going to build muscle over a week. You're going to build muscle over a few months at least, or you're going to see some changes. We've become somewhat of a lazy society that we want to have everything right away. Just like the McDonald's, we want the meal now. I'm not going to, I want to sit in my car and get that hamburger. And we treat mental health the same way. So meditation, I'll give an example. I tried meditation with I'll show you my phone. I have about 10 apps, and each app was doing something different for me. One made me feel calmer. The other one helped me better with breathing. Another one was doing something else. One did not work for me at all, and it's completely okay. One thing that works for me doesn't work for somebody else. If you tell me that a salad is going to make me full when I'm really hungry, right away I'll tell you, listen, I'm a big guy. I'm over 200 pounds. There is no way that a salad is going to make me full. But if I train myself and I was eating salads on a regular basis, right, at some point, that salad will make me full. It's just that I'm used to having heavier meals, and I have to train the stomach to work differently. Yes. So it's the same thing with this movie. I'm not here to, to tell anybody that this is the right thing for you. Hypnosis is the right thing for you. Psychic is the right thing for you. I'm saying, here, this is what's available for you. try and see it through my experience. I'm going to be the guinea pig in this movie and follow along. And if this, I don't know, sparks an interest in your life, try it. But at least you know what's available. And that's really the whole story behind this movie, that within 40 days, I'll be trying things that I am for or against, but I'll try them to teach the public.
Right.
Now, I have some things that I'm afraid of, right? Like, for example, I'm going to be in a tank. I'm going to be in a flotation tank where it's in a dark room. I'm in water and I have to close and put it over my head.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't. Good for you, because I wouldn't be.
So that's the thing. I'm taking risks, not because I want to for myself. That's not something that I would do. I would rather put boxing gloves and punch a bag and, take my anger out, as opposed to putting myself, in that specific situation. But there are people that it might help. So I'm going to try it, and I'm going to talk about what it did to me, what my experience was like, and hopefully someone can learn from this. Right. So again, it's not about me. I'm just the person. If I were to do a film about somebody else, someone would say, well, why are you making a film about him?
Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's that's a great answer. And that's sort of where I was kind of hoping you'd take it, is so that people understand just, specifically what's happening here. Because I think, well, like I said, it's very courageous and brave of you to do what you're doing, but it's not just your story. It's for the greater good of it all, as well. Would you say that mental health, and I'm going to be careful in how I say this, but is the ignorance coming from people because we're not educated about it? Or is it just one of those things? Like, I know way back in the 70s, I've had some family members. My mother had some troubles, right? And I had to deal with that when I was a young boy. But you didn't talk about it. You just don't. And as a young boy, I mean, I didn't have anybody to go talk to about it. Not a doctor. I didn't know how to talk to my dad about it, so there was really nowhere to go. And now it seems like we've opened up and we're okay with saying the word mental health.
Right.
But I'm not sure that we're still really dealing with it all. And is that because we don't know how to, or we still really don't want to?
I think it's a little bit of both. Definitely there's progression. So I'm not going to say that, we haven't evolved since the 70s. Of course we have. Our methods, conversations have, movies have, everything has. You see the school system, picking up on it. You're seeing more meditation. You're seeing a lot more holistic healers. You're seeing a lot more things that were taboo just maybe 10 years ago. But it's not about talking about it. It's about it's normalizing it. Saying that this is happening to each and every one of us. Like, for example, are you embarrassed when you have a cold?
No, right? Not at all.
Right? Or a flu. You can call in and say, I have a sick day, and people will be all right. But what if you say, I want a mental health day? Try telling that to your boss, right? And then the questions will come out. Can you elaborate on this mental health day? Or, I should have just stuck with migraine and called it a day and left it alone. So the idea behind it is that, yes, it is still somewhat taboo, and it's not as accepted, because the people that are not accepting it are also ourselves. When we're looking at it, what is wrong with me? Is this really depression, or is it just because things are not working as well as they should be? Also, somebody said to me when I spoke to him about something, he said, it's becoming an adult. It's like, that's what happens to us when we become adults. All of a sudden we realize that all the things that we were told about when we were kids are not coming to fruition the way we wanted it to, right? If I asked you 20 years ago, you'll be where you are right now, you'd be like, no, I probably envision myself being even more successful and happy all the time, right? So it's more than that. It's about also self-awareness. Something that I want to bring up was, my ex-wife used to say that I'm anxious all the time, and I didn't look at it as something negative. I saw the word anxious or at least anxiety and anxious, as being excited about something. And I'm a passionate person, so I really saw it as something good. I saw it, well, you know what, I'm excited about things. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with me being overly excited, but try being around someone that is overly excited and how you feel about it. And it's funny because now when I meet people who are anxious, I'm like, wow, this is what I was like. I don't know if I really want to be around this person. Should I have that conversation with him about, cooling it down?
Yeah.
But not the way to talk. So also we have to learn about how to be able to communicate with somebody with anxiety. how to communicate with somebody with depression, the sensitivity level, what can we talk about, what we can talk about. I'll share just one last thing before we move to your next question. When I posted on Facebook that I was going through something, I was getting messages from my family members warning my parents that, like, Ron is talking about something that could potentially hurt him from getting a job, or hurt him from meeting people, and people will think that he's crazy. Look, right. I'm not crazy. That's, I could tell you that I'm not. Do I have issues? Do I have things that I'm dealing with? And maybe I'm more emotional than the average person. Yes. But I wanted to let it out. This was my way. It's kind of like when you're crying and, you feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
So I realized that when I said it, people came out of the woodwork to try and help me. People who I didn't expect to come out. The person who's my assistant director in this film, I don't want to mention her name for, just for safety, sure. Maybe in the future if she allows me to, but she's somebody that reached out because she was going through something and she just wanted to help out. Yeah. We know each other for almost 30 years. And this was the first time we've ever had a one-on-one conversation. Mm-hmm. And yet my close friends, some of them never really sat there and spoke to me about things. Yeah. They kind of said, we hope that you're doing okay. We're here for you. But they never offered anything. They never offered to really see me for a cup of coffee and really hear me out, which is what I was looking for.
Yeah. So, well, and I think too, I think both men and women, and I'm not here to stereotype either side, so whoever's watching, but there is Mars and Venus, right? And I think maybe as a man, I don't know, I get upset about things that have happened in my life or my children's lives or whatever, and maybe I don't want to sound like a big baby sometimes. Does that make sense? Or I'm afraid to. I have a great friend network that I can reach out to, and I think that's part of what we need too. And let's sort of talk about that, because you and I have a mutual friend, Haley Patry, and she's been on the show before, and I met her through other businesses and stuff, and we've reconnected, and she's just fantastic. But isn't it interesting, because when I first met her and Jeremy and the way they were and what they were doing and what we were working on together, wouldn't have had a clue.
Right.
Wouldn't have had any idea. You would have thought she was just, and she is the most amazing person.
Well, that's why she's the happiness coach, right?
Yeah, that's right. And she's fantastic, but you wouldn't know her story. And I think we forget. I think we do. We judge. We look at, the clothes we wear or the money we have, or the clothes we don't have or the money we don't have. And we judge people. And well, that I could see that person having a problem, but I couldn't see him having a problem. So, how is Haley? How did you guys meet, and how have you guys? How's she helped you through a lot of things?
So I actually I took a course that she did a while back. She invited me to. She, believe it or not, I just paid for the food. She was that wonderful. Actually, everybody in the room, and she didn't make any money off of us. She did it out of the kindness of her heart, and bless her soul, she's been amazing. Yeah, there she is. There's her picture. She's just a wonderful human being. How did I meet her? I got to tell you, it was I posted something that I was looking to interview people for my film, and my friend Amy, who is all the way in Israel, decided to post different names, and some reached out and some didn't, and she was one of the names that reached out, and she was so happy to help. And to be quite honest, I know we haven't done the interview yet on film, and she might be upset at me about something at this moment in time because of a schedule change, but she's been monumental in terms of helping me. Just her energy, just having her in our pre-production. She almost came to every meeting that we had. She's been that voice of reason by sharing her story. She's actually been a real inspiration when it comes to this movie. I felt like, wow, if this person can turn her life around with her horrific story, I'm sorry if I'm using maybe the wrong words, but something that I don't wish it upon anyone, then I can definitely turn my life around. And she's doing it through her passion. She's an educator. She goes out and does talks. And I'm a filmmaker, so I'm using my stage to be able to share my information. But again, Haley has just been wonderful. And I can't recommend a better person than her, because she's just her energy. The minute you meet her, you just feel like you're connected to her right away. And
well, that, and I think she's real. Like she's
Absolutely.
just so real and sincere. You can't talk to her.
Something happened. Oh, there you go. Now we're back.
We're back. Technology. There we go.
Yeah.
She's just so real and sincere. You can't talk to her and not feel she just got that thing, right?
Absolutely. So that's the thing. I mean, when we had the pre-production, this is gonna maybe upset her a little bit. I brought her in for the energy. Because in reality, having her around was fantastic. She had amazing ideas. Actually, she's some of the inspiration behind our campaign that we have out with LID Glow Story,
right.
hashtag LID Glow Story, to glorify, talk about mental health, not to be afraid of it. But I brought her because everybody in the room just felt very much connected to her, and so did I, and I was inspired by her. So again, it was sometimes it was a little bit selfish because I really enjoyed her company. And the reason I said that she'd be upset with me because she lives. Oh,
there we go. and we're back. See, that's great.
All right.
Yeah, well, I mean, she that's fantastic. I don't think she'd be upset with you. I think she's thrilled to be a part. She doesn't partake in anything that she doesn't want to be a part of, and I can share your sincerity about her because she's helped me, and she's been very generous in having me offer assistance to people I know, and she's been just wonderful, and still keeps going, dealing with her own crap, right?
Right. But here's the funny part, just to talk about it. If I would have told a person that's going through depression, anxiety, go see a happiness coach.
Yeah.
Right? What would be the reaction? Really, Ron, a happiness coach? What's next? Right. So, and yet when you meet her, you right away have this positive energy about yourself. So even if she's not helping you with anything specific, she hasn't given you the tools to anything, just by having that positive energy makes you feel good. Now, that's not speaking about her talents. I did this full day event. Somebody with ADHD who had to sit there through 9 hours or maybe 12 hours. I don't know what it felt really long, to participate and to really partake in the program. She was able to keep me on the whole time. And it was a wonderful event. It was great to be with her.
Yeah. Fantastic. So what kind of, like, you talk about some energy and stuff, but so she's in the movie or?
In the movie, so we're going on a 40-day journey. And she's going to be hopefully on October 31st is the day that we're going to be interviewing her. There was a miscommunication about something that's more internal, but we're going to try and dedicate that time to her, and hopefully we'll have her on. I mean, not hopefully, for sure. In terms of the timing, we're trying a lot of different things. We have honestly such a, I don't want to say the word weird, but such a different group of people. From science, from more of a holistic, we have, again, naturopath to a nutritionist. We just have different things that are going on. We're also going to have a mentalist that's involved in the film, and he's an entertainer. That's what he does for a living.
Right.
But there's something about it, because a mentalist is able to trick the mind. So all of us want to be able to, hey, I'm feeling really sad right now. How can I trick myself to feeling better? So,
well, that's true with, I mean, emotion, right? I mean, anger probably being one of the most ones that we have to learn to control and trick,
Right.
I've heard of, temper tricking and that sort of thing. So, are you expecting, I mean, obviously you want good results from this movie, and I think it's fantastic you're doing, and I think you'll get good response. What about the negative? Do you think you'll get some conflicting response?
Sure. I mean, here you actually have a picture up of our campaign video that we did. There's my my niece and my cousin and Ben Goldenberg, the co-director of the film, and myself. And when we had the video up asking people for money, we had people who gave us thumbs down,
Yeah.
for what we put up. I mean, give a person an opportunity to hate.
Yeah.
Some. Of course, they'll do it. But in reality, I'm not making it for those people. I'm not making it to be popular. I'm not making it to highlight myself. I have zero ego, zero. If I could stop today from being the main character of this film, walk away from it, allow somebody else to take over, I'd be the happiest person. But I realized that if I already took on this responsibility and I'm a man of my word, then I'm going to stick to it. And if this is going to help save one life, then I've done my job. To talk to you about something that's very interesting. Actually, not too many people know this, and maybe people will be upset with me, but I'm an honest person, so I'll say it. This Friday, being Shabbat, which is the holiest day, in Judaism, Friday night, the Sabbath, it was also the celebration of our Bible, Simchat Torah, which is celebration of the Torah. And I actually, rather than going to the synagogue and participating, I actually went to a church.
Oh,
but I didn't go to, right. So, wow, the church, right? But I didn't go to a church in order to, to pray to Jesus or anything like that. I went to a church to talk about mental illness. Right. And I spoke in front of a crowd of about 150 parents who came out in search of help to learn about depression, to learn about anxiety, and how to help their children. And I was able to impact these families and change their mindset. And they all came up to me afterwards, asking me for my information, how to get involved, what they can do. There you go. You're just posting a picture of exactly that. And you need to understand the impact that I got on that day was so amazing. And in a way, I was doing something Jewish. I was doing something about Jewish values, which is helping everybody, being a great human being. So, for those that could be negative and say, well, you could have chose any other day, but this was a great opportunity. And I wanted to make a difference. And this is how I chose to make a difference. So I'm not sitting here thinking about the negatives. If
you don't mind me saying, I think honestly, you choosing that day speaks volumes to your sincerity as to what you're doing and your passion for it, right?
Right. Well, it wasn't a choice to pick that specific day. If I could have switched it to any other day, right. That's the day they decided to do. And I said, I'll take on this opportunity rather than, going to the synagogue and just being another Jew, just another person. I'm going to be someone that could possibly help out. And I did a confession for the first time. I mean, when they told me, Ron, you're about to do a confession, I was like, I heard this back in Jewish school that we can't do this type of stuff. Right. But no, it was about being free and to talk to the audience without judgment. And as I said, I knew that the impact would be greater than myself. And that's why I'm making this movie. Not about me. It's through me to educate the world. And I'm hoping that people will, we're seeing donations coming in on a regular basis. lidmovie.com/GoFundMe. Sorry, I'm pitching this.
No, go for it.
Want to be able to get more money out there because all of this is really coming out of my pocket. And I decided to take time off of work. I'm not working anywhere because this is important to me. I took on this project. I still have bills to pay just to get the car from place to place. Yeah. And we have a crew that's amazing that's doing it right now, volunteering. So, we really need the help. But at the same time, if somebody is even sharing this video, sharing the information, or even putting a hashtag, shining for mental health or anything like that, that's wonderful. I already feel like I was able to be a part of that impact. So again, I'm going back. I'm not worried about the negative from my community. I'm not worried about the negative from anywhere, not even from my parents, believe it or not, because I have a mission. I have a goal, and I'm going to try and do the best that I can because I have to be honest and true to myself. And I'm doing just that.
Well, you certainly seem like you're on the right path for that. And I'm thrilled that we've connected, and I know there's a reason that we're connected, and I know if it's through Haley, it's it's for a really good thing, right? I'm just going to share, folks, for those of you who are joining us, we're talking with Ron Furman. He's the director of Living in Darkness, and we welcome you to join us here. If you've got I've just posted a link on our Facebook page. Wherever you're watching from, we are being simulcast on about 10 different places. But if you would like to share your comments with us here ask a question, or if you would even like to come on camera and talk with Ron, you have to do that from my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/livewithdavidb. So you have to come over to that Facebook page, and that's where we'll see your comments. And posted there is a link that you can click on if you want to come on camera and join us. I know that Ron would welcome your comments about his movie or his thoughts on the mental health. Ron, what kind of other things? I know you mentioned Mentalist and different experiments. I know you don't want to give too much away, but what kind of things might we see in this movie that you're attempting that maybe we haven't heard about yet?
Haven't heard. I think many people heard about a lot of different things that are out there, but we're going to be doing music therapy, dance therapy. Music therapy I'm going to do with an acupuncturist at a clinic. I'm going to be going to, I think, an anger room where I'll be breaking glass or plates or whatever it is, just to release tension.
That sounds like fun.
That's what I'm excited for. And again, there's certain people we're meeting. We're not only meeting them once, we're meeting them a few times, like the hypnosis, which I started yesterday, which was amazing, with Peter yesterday. I'm forgetting his last name right now. It's not in front of me. I apologize. But I mean, it's just the people that are coming out and talking about, like the pharmacist today that I was talking to was so much into it. And when you're thinking that you're talking to your pharmacist, it's a business for him. But
sure.
He was a great person to meet. He was just so much fun, and he had so much information to provide. And the way I connected with him, I said, we're all human beings. At the end of the day, your kids could suffer from the same thing that I could suffer. Tomorrow, your parents could die, and you don't know what to do with yourself because you haven't thought about that. Your dog could die. You can break your leg, and that could put you in a specific mood that you can't go out and make money. We're all connected. This affects everyone. Now,
I was just going to say, so do we all kind of have, whether we admit it or believe it or not, we've all got some mental health issues in us?
There's no question about it. And I'll explain it like this. Let's pretend, God forbid, somebody has cancer in your family.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are affected with cancer. So the cancer, right, now they're having it, they're getting a little bit of anxiety because they're thinking about what the future would be like without them or them dying, correct? They could be depressed about their life. What about the family members that are going through it?
Yeah.
What about they're not going through cancer. They're not going through any of the problems. My dad, in my opinion, was going through anxiety and depression because of me going through anxiety and depression, because he did not know how to help me, because he's not an expert. I'm not an expert, but he knows that his son is calling him from Los Angeles saying, Dad, something is wrong. I'm climbing the walls. I'm not feeling right. Something is wrong. The only time I'm happy is when I'm hiking, and the other 23 hours of the day, I'm losing myself. And, it sounds a little bit weird, but I wanted to get better for my dad because I didn't want my dad to feel this way. I wanted to, in a way, help him. So we're all going through something. There's no question.
Yeah.
We just have labels for them. I'll give you an example. When you reach puberty and you're going through something, he's going through puberty, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're age 40, midlife crisis, right? A woman, is going through menopause. Well, it's something in her body. So, now she's feeling hot and cold and she's not herself. Everybody suffers. We're all going through something in our lives. The difference is we're a new generation that is creating a lot more problems for ourselves. And that has to do with technology. I'm not going to go against technology, but I'll say because we're on our phones, because we're always needed everywhere, we're adding a lot of stresses to our lives. And before that, life was a little bit simpler. Now, of course, there were other issues that they had to deal with, probably bigger issues than what we have to do, right? Because they walked 10 miles in the snow, barefoot, up a mountain, down a mountain. They went through all that type of stuff, and yet we had an Uber that will take us to school.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, if I'll give an example. If somebody sends you a text right now, you have to reply almost right away. And if you don't reply within the next minute, you're going to get question mark, question mark, question mark. Where are you? Well, how come I can't hear you? Why are you not responding? With work, you're going on vacation. You have to, you have to email people. I used to get up when I went to the Dominican Republic. I was still working. I woke up at 7:00 in the morning on my vacation to be able to work from 7 to 9. And by 9 o'clock, I'd be able to go back and be with whoever I was with to continue with the vacation. Back in the day, a family trip was a family trip. You didn't have the cell phone. Nobody could find you. And In some ways, it was good, but as I'm saying, like, as much as technology is great and it's doing so many amazing things for us, at the same time, it's really hurting us in ways that we don't know. And the food that we eat. I mean, just think about all the stuff that we're putting in our body, and with all the restaurants that open out back in the day, we would eat at home. You know, to go to a restaurant was like a celebration.
It was a treat.
Right. Today, some people eat out on a regular basis.
Yeah.
There's so many things I could possibly tell you, and I just didn't think about it before I made this movie. But now that I'm involved, I'm learning all these amazing things.
So this has become an awareness, more of an awareness. It's not just an awareness you're putting out. You're sharing what you weren't even aware of before.
Believe it or not, as much as I'm talking right now, there are times where I remain silent because I listen to these practitioners who are telling me interesting things, and I am not an expert. If this was a Middle East conflict issue, like for me to talk about, I talk to you 24 hours a day.
Right.
But when it comes to this, I'm not an expert. I don't know anything about this, but I'm learning. And again, by me learning and the camera being there, filming everything, we're able to make a serious change. And I hope that people are listening. I hope that people are looking at this as something real, as opposed to, oh, that guy, I should stay away from him. And you know what? If you want to stay away from me because I'm suffering from anxiety and depression, well, I've been suffering for about 30 years now. So if you haven't noticed, maybe there's a problem with you.
Is there something that those are great comments, and I really see where you're coming at, and I've already just learned a couple things myself, and I'm pretty close to it. Is there anything you've learned during this process of putting the movie together that really scares the heck out of you?
I learned a lot of things that scared the hell out of me, to be quite honest. A lot.
Like?
That I just have to learn to accept.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the hardest thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll share something a little personal, but not so much. I like to have control over what I'm doing. I'm a director. I like to, get people to go from one place to the other. I'm the type of person that, I led trips to Israel. I led about 11 trips. I have 50 films that I've created. So I always had to lead a team. And this is the first time in 18 years that I have let go of the film. I brought Ben Goldenberg, who is a great friend of mine and an amazing director, award-winning director, and I allowed him to be my co-director and to direct me. And it's very difficult, especially with someone that has anxiety, with someone that is struggling, with someone that this is my baby in some ways. But that's a part of the process. So I believe that everything that I'm doing right now is a part of that process. 2 days ago, or maybe 3 days ago, I went to a psychic. And to be honest, when I made a decision to go to a psychic, I said to myself, I don't know if I really want this. I don't know if I'm going to believe anything there, but I'm going to go into it believing, and I'm going to concentrate. That even my director of photography, Edward, was telling me, Ron, you're so intense. During breaks, he's like, you have to change your face. And I was like, Edward, I'm really into this. Like I'm listening in. Now, whether the person predicted things that were right or wrong, he made me feel something. And I will share it. I wept for about 5 minutes throughout that interview. And I did not think that he's going to make me cry. And I was bawling to a point where I had to ask the questions a few times because he wasn't able to hear me because the questions were stuck here in my throat. So, yes, there has been big impacts, things I did not expect out of this. Also, we went to Helix, which is a clinic downtown on Eglinton. And the people there were just so good to us, and they opened up their arms, allowing us in. Today, we shot at a restaurant in our neighborhood, Café Landauer, and they said, perfect, come in, come shoot here. They gave us free food because we're talking about nutrition. If you go out to a restaurant, you don't have time to cook at home, how to be able to find in the menu the things that would make you healthier. I mean, if I started worrying about all the people that are negative as opposed to looking at the positive, all the ones that open up their arms to us, then I'm not going to get anywhere. So
well, and that holds true for most things, right? I mean, take a negative, turn it into a positive, focus on the positive, eliminate the negative. But we talk about that and we talk about that to our children and everybody, but that's not easy to do sometimes because it's often the easier path to take the negative, right?
Right. But again, neither is living in darkness, like the movie says, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not easy. It hasn't been easy for me. I moved, again, I'll share some information. I got married to a lady from New York, and I moved to New York for her. And I had all these expectations, and it was very difficult for me being there. But I loved her, and I did everything for her. And when it kind of came my turn and I wanted something back, she wasn't there for me. And then now I said, well, I don't want to break the marriage. I don't want to fight. I don't want to leave her. And I just kept bottling everything in, and I wasn't happy, to a point where I made a choice to leave to Los Angeles, thinking that we're just going to have a reboot. We're going to move together to Los Angeles and start a new life. And I left on my own because I got to that point in my life where I said, I need a change. Now, did I know that we're going to separate because of it? Of course not. If I thought that would be it, I would have never left to LA. But something in me told me, Ron, you have to make this change. Why? For my health. I thought that I might have been missing vitamin D. I needed that sunshine. I grew up in Israel on the beach. It's what I needed. I knew Los Angeles. I'm in the film industry. I lived there for 7 years. I already knew everything there. Things would be much easier for me. I knew that I could just be with her and she'd be my priority. But these were all in my head. These were all the things that I talked to myself about without actually talking to her about it. And that was really hard. Living with knowing that I may have made a mistake about a few things, living with the anxiety of not knowing how to be able to take care of myself. I mean, this is nothing. My life has a lot more problems than what somebody may think positively about me or negatively about me. It doesn't affect me one bit.
Well, and thanks for sharing that. You're really sharing a lot of personal stuff, and I think that's speaks volumes for what you're trying to do. But I scratch my head every day over this topic. There's a lot of things to talk about in the world, and I do talk about a lot of different things with a lot of different people. I can honestly say on a daily basis, this comes up. Mental health. Every day I hear it, whether it be on Facebook or somebody and honestly, and maybe this is a good thing, mostly people I talk to. So I guess that means that they're talking about it and it's out there. I know in our community here in Sarnia, we have a regular sessions. It's called Sarnia Speaks, where people are gathering at a local theater on a regular basis to talk about all the different aspects of mental health and mental health issues, and all the different titles, as far even like you're a family member that's dealt with someone who's had mental everything. So it's around our community huge big time as far as I want to say promoting mental health awareness. Like I said, Michael Landsberg was just here. Spoke to our high schools, and we had a special event. So it would seem that something's getting done, but again, there's a lot of talk, and that's great. But it's nice to hear, and there are lots of things being taken action wise too. But it's good. How am I trying to say this? It's nice that it's not just local. It's something. This is not an epidemic.
Right.
This is a pandemic.
Right.
It's worldwide. It's not racist. It's everywhere. And what would you say are things that, even though we're doing all this talking and people are taking some actions, what would you say are some things that we still need to really work on, or maybe some things we need to try that we haven't done yet?
So great. I think I am the perfect person for this, because this is the reason I've decided to make this film. So I'm going to tell a little bit of a personal story. Not that I haven't done so thus far.
Oh, keep going. It's great.
Then I'll get into it. When I was going through it, my sister, who's a social worker, gave me a list of names and numbers to call. And I called many of those names to try and get help. And four out of about 130 names that she's given me called me back. So I finally decided to speak up. I finally decided to say, all right, world, you win. I need help. Help me. Like, I can't live like this. There is no way. I can't be in my bed anymore. I can't live like this. I'm hurt. I'm hurting inside. I can't talk about it. And 4 people got back to me. One of them was Cam H. And I was so excited because I, really thought, great, this is a free service. They're going to be helping me. And what ended up happening, I called Cam H and they said, oh, okay, great. So we'll speak to you in 3 months. And I said, now can you imagine telling somebody who is going through something right now who needs help, I'll speak to you in 3 months?
Wow.
And in 3 months, they said, yeah, because then we're going to ask you, we're going to bring you in. We're going to ask you, what you're going through. And then after, we'll figure out where we can place you. I was like, no, you don't understand. I need help right now. I'm struggling right now. And, I left everything in Los Angeles, literally within 3 days on December 27th, my wife said what she said. And by January 1st in the morning, I drove to Toronto 4.5 days to get here. I called my friends. I said, guys, everything in my apartment belongs to you. Whatever I'm taking in my car belongs to me. And I drove off. So now I needed the help. I'm asking CAMH and they're telling me this. And I said, guys, what's going to happen if I'm going to be, suicidal because of this? Because I am not there yet, but if in 3 months I'm not going to get any help, something's going to happen. Oh, well, we have a number for you. It's the suicide hotline. You can call us back and someone will be able to help you. I'm like, you're not listening to me. I'm telling you, I'm having problems right now. Sir, there's nothing that we can do. Yeah. And I realized that's why I had to go to Dr. Google and get the information, because I needed the help. And I finally called out and I said to myself, wait a second, you have Bell Let's Talk, Bell, who is putting so much money into CAMH. They have a building name after them. By the way, I filmed CAMH already. It was a great film. I mean, a great interview. I learned a lot about them. But at the same time, I was still furious because I didn't know where else to go. I didn't know any other names, because it's not like you see advertisements on a regular basis for free services. And I can't afford a $200 therapist, or, I don't have that money to speak to somebody for an hour. And then I went to somebody, and the minute it was 44 minutes, he's like, all right, our time is up. And, you're in the middle and you're crying and then looking at it as a business. And I'm like, I'm a human being. So what's you giving me that extra 5 minutes? That extra 5 minutes could really help me. Right. But no, 44 minutes. And in 1 minute, you have to be out of here. And I took it so hard. And you need to understand, it took me about an hour and a half to get there, an hour and a half to get back. I was looking forward to going to talk to somebody. But in how I felt that I was treated, I felt like no one's there ready to help me. And I can't talk to my parents about that. I can't talk to some of my friends. They won't understand. They might think that something is completely wrong with me. I don't want to go to a psych ward. That's not where I want to end up. I can overcome this. So speaking up, that's just the first step. That's wonderful. And it's amazing. And that's why I want people to speak up. But it's more than that. It's more about giving us information, how to be able to take care of ourselves. What can we do? There should be some sort of, I went on the radio, I was on News Talk 1010 the other day, and I said, why isn't there a forum? Why is there a forum for people to know that, hey, mental health, they click on and they see all these amazing free services that are all on this one page, kind of like a Google for mental health. Or how about, just free services, somewhere, or we'll be able to, somebody who is donating money directly to the person. We have so many philanthropists out there that are giving money to these huge organizations, and you're looking around and the president's making $150,000 and so on and so forth. And you're going, what about that person that just needs to talk to somebody, just to be helped? So I just thought about how to be able to change the system. And I said, who am I? I'm this little guy, director, who's made some documentaries. Nobody knows who I am. Maybe this film will play on Netflix. Maybe it may not. But I'm going to put all my efforts out there to try and make this movie, and not just do the movie, but actually start a campaign with the Glow story, with Living in Darkness Glow story, for people to talk about. So rather than having the ghost stories where people are trying to scare you, we want to talk about how mental health has affected, each and every one of us, and come up with some solutions. So going back to this, going through about 6 months of heartaches, not being able to sleep at night. I mean, right now I'm working. I'm at work right now. Yes, it's a radio show, but I'm in my office. Yeah. I came from all day shoots, and I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. And tomorrow morning I have to be at the gym for this film. Right. So imagine what that's doing for my anxiety. So I'm putting myself on the line to try and get the help, not just for myself, but through others. I'm putting myself through this heartaches. So what I want to do is really make a difference with this movie, with this campaign, that it's not just about speaking up. It's about action. So not just speak up, but let's do. And not only let's do, what do we do? What are
I was just going to say, okay, so what do we need to do?
So
how do we make that real difference?
So with my movie, with the 40 days, I'm meeting with an average of about 2 to 3 people a day who are different practitioners. And I'm going to be saying what their position is, and for people to know that is an option for someone to take. And maybe some good soul out there will say, you know what? On Fridays, I'm going to dedicate my Friday to have a free day. I'm making enough money as a doctor as is, or as a therapist. Friday will be a free day. And why don't I get my other colleague who works downtown, and I'm going to dedicate my Friday as a good value day to help somebody else. And if one doctor starts this, another doctor starts, we can start something much, much bigger than just let's talk. Now, again, I'm a big advocate for it, and I'm hoping to finish the film actually on January 25th. So I'm not saying anything negative. However, it doesn't end there. It's just a starting point.
What about our government, Ron?
What about our government? I mean,
maybe I should. Ooh, that's comic relief.
You want to talk politics? I know. Again, it goes far beyond the left.
But I see our government. I just saw some things. I could pull it up not too long ago, but that I know Ontario government has decided to do some more things to support mental health and finance mental health initiatives.
Right.
I'm not sure what that looks like yet,
right?
Because I see things like our Here in House Boys Home out here. They deal with a lot of mental issues with young boys all the time. They have 26 beds, 26 or 24, I can never remember, and they only get funded for 4 or 5 of them. And a lot of this, and I know some of these boys out there, and I'm involved with them, so it's a real struggle there. So, and different, health organizations are constantly raising money. And don't get me wrong, I think organizations should have a part in raising money for themselves and their cause. Right. However, where's it on the priority list? I guess. I mean, I'm not the guy that says we should, whenever there's a problem, we should run to our government and they should fix it and give us money. That's not what I'm saying. However, where do you see them in this?
Right. Well, as I said before, I think all of us are feeling this way, right? So, I mean, all of us are dealing with mental health issues. Just some are greater than others. So they should, the government should start looking at it themselves. Say, hey, Trudeau, how do you feel today? With people talking to you, right? That the other day I saw in the paper, he had like a Pinocchio nose, right? So how does he feel when he sees that? Does he ignore it? I'm sure it bothers him somewhat.
Sure.
I'm sure he's feeling the pressure. Let's call it stress. How do we deal with stress? Stress, by the way, is the old word for anxiety. And the new word in the future is going to be depression. And once this is going to happen in 2020, which this is what the facts are saying, we'll have no choice. The problem is, this is what I'm worried about. Right now, we're in the pre-production of things. We could see what's about to happen, and we have a chance to make it better. And what, in my opinion, the government is doing is waiting for it to get really bad. Sort of like knowing there's, code red, code blue, code green, whatever it is for terrorist attack. No, let's wait for 50 people to be shot, and then we'll decide, to take security measures.
Right.
What I'm proposing is for somebody to come out and say, no, let's deal with this now. We're already seeing that there is a problem. And it starts even with the school system. It's not necessarily just, with the government, but the schools. They're providing money for the schools, correct? How many of us who are in school are learning about money management, right? So we come out. We come out of school and all of a sudden we have to, figure out how the hell do I buy a house?
Started on that one.
Right? How about accounting? Like, not regular accounting, because accounting is like offered, as a class, like a philosophy. But everybody should be meant to be able to do their taxes, because every one of us will eventually have to do their taxes. So just like we have to.
Well, what is a mortgage? What's a credit rating? What's a bounce check? So
what I'm talking about is, if you look at the school system today, they're still stuck from 30 years ago. The same stuff that you were doing in school is the same stuff that kids are doing today in school. Look, we're evolving. We have to change with the times, not just put a new computer laptop in a room and say, look at us, we're providing the best internet service.
Yeah, everybody gets an iPad.
Right, but actually do something about it. Talk to people about mental health. Talk to people about, have meditation days. When I lived in New York, I worked for a youth center called JCCA, Jewish Child Care Association. And I remember this one day on a Tuesday, we had like crazy day. Everybody was going crazy, like being loud and obnoxious. There was about 150 kids. And what I decided to do was open the door to this room, get the kids inside, turn off the light, put some candles, and say, guys, I want to play some soft music and for us to just sit here and relax for about 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you right now, the energy completely changed.
Oh, yeah.
People came up to me afterwards thanking me for it. Those that thought it was crazy and wild just were not coming anymore. The point is that I saw a drastic change in that 5 minutes. Now imagine if this was mandatory for school. Imagine, not talking about just meditation. I'm sure there's a lot of other amazing things. It's just the only thing that comes to my mind at this moment in time. But we have to really look at our curriculum and say what's working for today's world and what's not working for today's world. Just like I mentioned, money management, we have to talk about mental health. It is very, very important. About 30 years ago, we didn't have health classes. Am I correct? We didn't talk about the fallopian tube and the uterus or anything like that because we thought, oh my God, we can't bring it to the school. Today, we're talking about homosexuality and gay parents because that's the part of the new reality. That is what we have to deal with. Now, it's completely okay. But at the same time, we have to treat these issues as if it's a real problem that may affect all of us. And when I went to CAMH the other day, something interesting that I noticed, they had a mental health room for the workers.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a room where they can go in and they're saying, hey, I want to take a little bit of a break and I want to go and relax and maybe play a video game or maybe go swimming, maybe go work out. So I'm saying some change is happening. I think it's fantastic, but it needs to be a lot more. Yeah, we need to be very active. There needs to be a lot more changes when it comes to mental health because it may have saved me and those that I have lost as friends. This year alone, I lost 3 friends due to mental health issues. And it's sad. And I can't really talk about it, of course, here because it's their story. Yeah. But some of them or their friends don't even believe that it has anything to do with mental health. They blame it on
I think you're certainly getting. We've got some people out here. Avi, I hope I said your name right. Thanks for being here. He's agreeing, and Lila's out there says her kids love meditation. And I think those are some really neat concepts that you're talking about, as far as meditation. It's kind of like I remember nap time in kindergarten, like
there was a reason why they brought that up.
There was a time out, right? But as we grow, when we're a kid, like we can get away with blasphemy, right? When we're a kid, right. We can get away with anything. As we grow older, what do we grow up?
Right.
Be a man, be responsible, be a young lady. Ladies don't have all these things, right? And guilty. I have 2 children, love them both dearly, but I've been like that with them, and I think because it's taught, it's subconscious, and I think sometimes we're lazy. We go, just go to your room or whatever, because we're having our own bad day too, right?
Yep.
And we're okay. Have a bad day, but get over it, right? But I know. When I was younger, I went to a youth group here in town, and we did meditation, and it was one of the greatest things that I was ever taught. And when I went, I had epilepsy when I was younger. I outgrew it by the time I was 14, fortunately. Yeah, but those are things I went through, and I look back at that now, and some of the things that I dealt with as a young boy with epilepsy. I had grand mal seizures, petit mal seizures, and I didn't get warnings; they just happened. Right. So you're talking out in the schoolyard. Here's David freaking out on the ground or whatever, and nobody knew. And kids can be cruel too, right? So I know back then I was dealing with stuff that we didn't call it mental health, and because of that, I'm sure that my older sister had to deal with it. My parents had to deal with it. So I guess one of the things we have to start doing is, like you say, more than time. We gotta let's stop being afraid. Like, what are we afraid of? Being made fun of?
Right.
Like I've always said, we say sticks and stones. Yeah, well that was crap. Names do hurt, but we've got to grow some rhino skin, right? And I think it's the more we can. God, there's just so many different ways to go with this conversation about what we need to do, right, Ron? Right. And it's, but I think we really need to stop being afraid, and surround ourselves with the right people.
Also, the parents need to pay more attention to this. This is really what I want to talk about. When I was 14 years old, and it's funny, I didn't think about it up until this moment. Well, this moment meaning like a few months ago. When I was in 9th grade. I used to have long hair, and I would sit there and I used to have long hair. Now I don't have any. I used to have long hair, and I used to pull the hair out and just sit there in class while the teacher was talking. And at the end, I would look at my desk, and I would have like this much hair. And the next day, I would try to compete with myself, saying, "Oh, last time I had maybe 100. Now I'm going to have 150," and I would just do this regularly. And I had no idea that this was a problem. It seemed very normal to me. It seemed like, so what? I'm just pulling my hair. Now that I'm looking at it, I mean, clearly there was something wrong. When I was dealing with issues, I dealt with it violently. That's the only way that I knew. I came to this country. I had to change my name. I had to learn a new language. The only way I knew, I wasn't able to communicate the way I communicate right now. So I was a big kid, and I said, hey, if someone's going to mess with me, then fighting him would be the best solution. And now we have anti-bullying, right? So we clearly knew that that's not working either. Yeah. I'm not a proponent for fighting, but my point was, we're all dealing with things, and my parents thought, oh, my kid just enjoys fighting, or my kid is that's just who he is. But no, I was dealing with bigger things. I was fighting back because I wasn't happy about leaving Israel. I wasn't happy about being here. I had to become an adult right away. I had to learn a new language. I had to change my name. I had to become a different person. I wasn't happy. And that's how I reacted, because I'm a kid. Nobody taught me better. And the only thing that people were looking at, like my parents, was, did he get suspended? Did he get expelled? Did he hurt the boy? Are the cops involved? As opposed to, what led you to do this from the get-go? And I think that if parents are paying attention to this earlier in life, they may be able to save their children later in life.
Yeah, well, and I think that's great that you brought that up, because that kind of goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago about, our boys' home, and like it starts really, really young. It doesn't just, yeah.
I see you're getting emotional. I appreciate that, actually. And I want that's me. I think about it on a daily basis, and I think about what can I do. And, even having this conversation with you tonight, it's made me realize maybe even I'm not doing enough, I'm a talk show host, right? So I talk a lot. Right.
Or I as a talk show host, I maybe ask the right questions, and I've learned to shut up and listen a lot. Yeah.
But you're not just a talk show host who's doing whatever. You're doing positive things, so you got to look at it in that way.
I get that. You really got my wheels going in a great direction. It just got me thinking about things I never considered before. So I'm grateful for you coming on here and having that effect on me, and we should get emotional about it. Yeah. Well, this is scary, man. Like, this is going to destroy societies if we don't grab a hold of this. And I'm not a medical doctor, and I don't pretend to be the guy that I don't know anything. Yeah. I know what I've talked with other people, but we really got to grab a hold of this and figure. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
No, I mean, you're doing it. So that's the thing. And the fact that you're right now feeling this way, it's already a good thing, because you're noticing that there's a problem. You're noticing that maybe you can do more. Maybe there are other things that you could do. Maybe today you can talk to your son or your daughter and just sit them down and cry next to them and make them feel like you're human. And then they will cry next to you, and they will feel like, Dad, we're connecting on such a different level that now I know I can come and talk to you. There's so many things that we can do if we really sit there. Supporting this film, it's just another way of doing it. You're helping us get the word out. As I said, do I really want to be on all these shows and to talk about it and waste I'd rather be sleeping right now. Yeah. But I know that I can make a difference with this. The one thing that I feel bad about is a lot of people ask me, and they ask me an honest question, and I always want to give an honest answer. They ask me, okay, Ron, so once you're done the film, what's next for you? Are you thinking about maybe staying in the mental health field and dealing with this issue, or are you going to be doing other films? And I said, well, look, I'm somebody that's suffering, so I'll be in that field of the mental health my entire life from now on, because now I can recognize and I know what I can do. Yeah. However, I'm still a filmmaker. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be doing comedies, and I'm not going to be doing other movies, and I'm going to have other interests.
Well, I think you'd have to do comedy.
Right. So I have a lot of things in the works, so hopefully that will work. But again, we're all living this. This is what I'm saying. We're all advocates. If we talk about it, if we share the information, if we go out there, if we even accept a friend, if we listen, if we say to somebody, hey, I'm there to listen to you whenever you need me. And I've had some of these friends. Maybe it's my fault that I didn't reach out, but I knew who I could reach out to. I knew that these people meant something to me because they said that. It's those that were questioning me. It's those that did not like the way I did certain things. It's those that didn't I don't want to say forgive me, but like today I put a post about something that people keep asking me about. And I just like, it's okay for us to make mistakes. It's okay for us to be wrong. It's okay for us to be human, you know, but if you don't accept us and you block us and you push us away, well, that speaks volumes about you, not about me as a person. Yeah. And I just want to be able to put that out there, that really it's got to do with, we have to be human to one another. And I think the minute we remember that we're human, just like I said before about going to the church, I didn't look at it as like a Christian thing or a Muslim thing. If they would have asked me to speak at a mosque, I would have done the exact same thing.
It was a human thing.
It's a human thing. We're all facing. If I cut myself, I bleed the same way like you. We're all feeling the same way. Maybe today you don't, but tomorrow you will. So we want to help each other. And I'm doing my part. And David, don't think for a second, you're doing your part. Even by hosting me today, you're doing something about it. And you can do
and I appreciate that. And I get that. And that's part of what I do. I love my community. And I think there's more that I could be doing.
They'll always be.
Yeah. And that's well, this has been an incredible hour-ish, actually. And that's okay. I'm not a corporate talk show host, so we could go longer. But I think we've gone pretty far tonight, and wow, there's certainly lots to take in there, and I've been taking notes. And for those of you who are watching, make sure you check out Ron Furman. We're going to show a few links here. Check him out on Facebook, and you can also find more about him and his filmmaking on his website as well. And livingindarknessmovie.com, and there's a GoFundMe page there. And every little bit helps. We know that for sure. And if you have been moved at all by anything that Ron's been talking about here tonight, we've been talking about, I would urge you to please check out those websites and find out more. Ron, thank you so much. Before we go, is there any final words you'd like to throw in there to make sure that people hear?
No, you've done it. I just want your audience to know that, again, it starts with you. Bottom line, it's we can all do something. And again, it's not about my movie and it's not about a movement. It's about, we're all facing this. We all have to do something about it. Just think to yourself, am I doing enough? And yes, there are other things that may have interest you, like helping soldiers or veterans or whatever. And that's fantastic. I think that's great. Please keep doing what you're doing. Help whatever. But always remember that there's somebody out there that's suffering and somebody needs your help. And if you can be there as a friend, just to listen, just to help in some way or another, you might be able to save a life. And I thank you for this opportunity to talk about the film and our campaign.
Well, that's wonderful and great words there from our friend Ron Furman. And good luck on the film. I know it's going to do fantastic. And stay in touch. Let's follow along in the process, and we'll keep talking about you in our end of the planet here, this end of town, and we'll get the attention out there. Ron Furman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who've had, if you watched the live, fantastic. If you're watching the replay, check out the Facebook page there we've been talking about with Ron Furman. What do you think you can do about mental health? If you're thinking that there's nothing you can do, watch this whole video, go back to the start, and there's certainly lots that we can do. And as Ron said, it all starts with you. I thank you all for your time and watching. Take care of each other. Until next time. Bye for now.